guys, welcome to another edition of Driving with Miranda on the Car Guide. This week I have a rather large vehicle. It is the all-new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. It is grand in every sense of the word, so let's check it out. I'm always kind of shocked when I get into a vehicle as large as something like the all-new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Shocked because I can't imagine ever needing something this large. I live small, I only have one child, don't have dogs, I don't do anything crazy on the weekends, not in construction, I don't need to cart stuff around. So it's always kind of mind-blowing to think, oh my God, why would you ever need this much room? But then once you have it, you realize all the things you can do with it and all the people you can transport and all the capabilities you have in said vehicle. So it's quite nice to drive it. So I'm always happy when I get into a vehicle this size. Not happy when I get to the pumps though, but we're gonna get to that. So let's talk a bit about the Grand Wagoneer in general. Now, of course, this is leagues beyond what it was when it first existed, which I believe the last iteration of this may have been 80s or 90s. I'm hoping my editor will write something down there. Anyways, it's been quite a while since we've seen the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, and this is quite luxurious compared to what it was. You know, for anybody who grew up with the Wagoneer, our parents' generation, my parents' generation, you would remember a wood-paneled large Jeep, not necessarily luxurious inside, but definitely big enough to fit all of the children, and if not only your children, but the neighborhood's children as well. Plenty of storage in the back, a nice big trunk, and it was just a really good family vehicle. Now, of course, this one is as well, but what differs is that this is definitely much more high-end than the original Wagoneer. This sits in the same segment as the Cadillac Escalades, for example. So the starting price on the Grand Wagoneer is about $86,000. The current model that I'm sitting in, this is a Series 3 top tier, has all the bells and whistles, is at about $125,000, which is about the same as the Escalade. So they're definitely on par. Now, I had the Escalade at the beginning of the year in the spring, and I've always liked the Escalade, again, for its grandness, for its luxuriousness, for its comfort, for the fact that it's very practical, and of course you have all the gadgets. I love the screens. Didn't love the entertainment system in the back because it was so difficult to use, but everything about the Escalade is just very fancy. And then I got into the Wagoneer, and the Escalade is suddenly second best now. So from the way this thing drives to the interior design, I absolutely love how this thing looks inside. You can see all the wood paneling around me. So the wood paneling might not be on the outside, but it's on the inside, and it's beautiful. And this gray blue leather with the beige stitching and two-tone, oh my goodness, like this thing is just gorgeous in here. The seats are so comfortable. Love the massaging feature here. Makes for traffic, makes enjoyable traffic. The screens are easy to use. Everything's very clear. Apple CarPlay kind of functions, kind of doesn't. Sometimes it hooks up, sometimes it doesn't. You've got like a million USB ports. You can even, so the passenger has a screen on the dash in front of them. They can hook up an HDMI cable. So let's say you're on a really long road trip and you don't want to talk to your partner, because why would you want to do that? They can plug in and watch a movie on the dash in front of them. As the driver though, I can't see anything, so it's completely blacked out at a certain angle, so I can't be distracted by whatever they are watching. Now, of course, I've got the two screens in the back for the kiddos. Again, I know I just complained about the Escalade system. This one is kind of just as complicated, and unless you have an Android phone, you can't mirror. You can't just plug in and mirror. You need an HDMI cable. Also, it would be a hell of a lot easier if you were registered for the 4G LTE capability of the car. So if you had Wi-Fi within the car, it would be a lot easier to hook up to things like Disney Plus, Netflix, etc. You could get it all on the screen here. So unfortunately, my son was not able to watch anything on the screens back there, but he fiddled with the remotes, and he also has in the middle, you can see that big black piano finish behind here. That is also his climate control. So he had a nice touch screen to deal with there, plus heated seats in the second row as well. Perfect. So how does this thing drive? It has a V8, good for about horsepower, I believe. So despite the size of the engine, not a huge amount of power, especially for a vehicle this size and weight. It's not quick, it's not hugely performing, but you know what? It's comfortable. And even on our roads, if they get a little bit iffy, the suspension really handles itself. It has the air suspension as well, so it's constantly readjusting itself, going from normal height to aerodynamic. When you put the car in park, it hunkers it all the way down so that for somebody like me, you can get in and out easily, even though you have the electronic side step that comes out and then hides itself while you're driving. What I found interesting, because my first thought is always, oh my god, the winter, because it like tucks itself in and then untucks itself. My first thought is like, what if there's a big chunk of ice or that's stuck, and then the hydraulics and the electric, they're gonna get all messed up. But you have the option in the system here, you can turn it off. So those side steps don't have to come out every single time. So if you're a smart Grand Wagoneer owner, you'll turn that off in the winter, because you can adjust the ride height anyways to be able to get in and out, which when it's at its lowest, you don't really need the step. It's just fancy and show-offy at that point. So yeah, you can turn it off, which I found really cool, because for any car or truck or anything that has those side rails, there's always a danger of them getting hooked on something, or like I said, in the winter, big chunks of ice, or if you're off-roading, you don't want them to get in the way or potentially hit anything or get hooked on anything. So the option to be able to turn them off is actually pretty cool. Now, in terms of other amenities in here, you know, heated seats, massaging seats. I have a fridge here in the middle, plus upper storage, another hidden storage behind the climate control up here, and the massaging seats. I can press a little ta-da button and it will appear, and I have a charge pad there, as well as a couple of USB ports, plus the HDMI cable for the passenger screen, and then even for the rear. So if you had an Android phone, you can mirror there by plugging it in up here. Third row is actually fairly easy to get into, and you can see the huge wide windows back there. And the third row has its, I'm terrible with that, third row has its own sunroof as well, which is manual, or sunroof, moonroof. It doesn't open, just a window on the roof, which you can close manually. And then I've got a big one here that is obviously electronic. Now, what I found most interesting about this vehicle, as a kind of final comment, is that I don't think I've ever seen a vehicle with its name written in so many places, like ever. You got, I believe it says Grand Wagoneer, at least Wagoneer on the front, Grand Wagoneer on the back, so it's 1, 2, Grand Wagoneer on each side, 4. Open the door and you've got Wagoneer on the door sill, that's 5. Then you have Grand Wagoneer written on the side of the seat, that's 6. The steering wheel, 7. When you turn the car on, both screens say Grand Wagoneer, so that's 9. And then it says Grand Wagoneer across the dash on the passenger side, so that's 10. And I believe I caught, on the wheels, 11. So 11 times, like on the middle, the center cap of the wheel outside, it says Grand Wagoneer or Wagoneer. 11 times the name of this vehicle is written. I mean, would you forget that you're in this car? Would you kind of like be like, oh, right, that's right, I'm in a Grand Wagoneer. I almost forgot and thought I was in a Micra. I get it. They're very proud to bring the name back, and it's fantastic, and I think it's very cool, and in a way nostalgic with the wood paneling out here. I've had a lot of comments that, you know, they put the name so many times because it's so far removed from the original, which they're not wrong, and it is, but, you know, they're bringing back that name, they're bringing back that kind of heritage feel without bringing it back exactly as it was. I don't think they should have brought it back exactly as it was. I think this was a smart decision. You know, the Jeep Grand Cherokee was always their prestige luxury SUV. Now this has become that, and the Cherokee, or the Grand Cherokee, sorry, can take a little bit of a step down, but not necessarily. Not that the Grand Cherokee is going to lose any of its luxuriousness or its amenities, but this is just going to be the pinnacle now of the Jeep lineup, which I think is great. Do I think they need to put the name on the car 11 times? Meh, I think that's a little overkill. But I get it. They're proud, they want to remind you, and they want to make sure that you know exactly what's coming towards you on the road too. Now when it comes to the exterior look of this, that's where it falls a little bit flat for me. It's pretty boring on the outside, although I do prefer the look of it to the Escalade. Don't worry, I didn't hit anybody. They just coming up fast on me. I do prefer to the Escalade. It's funny because there's actually one behind me right now. I find the Escalade almost too linear and too, I don't know, cold, like line straights, this and that. The Wagoneer has a little bit more of an organic feel to it, and that's a little bit more rounded. The front end is obviously immediately recognizable as a Jeep. The rear I quite like. It gives the illusion that the glass would open. That's where I find the nostalgic look comes in. If you look at the back of this thing, it is very reminiscent of the original Wagoneer. And I mean, maybe eventually they'll come out with one that has a wood panel decal, so to speak, on the outside. I doubt they'll put wood panels back on a modern car. You never know. Maybe it'll happen. So it's not my favorite look on the outside, and especially in silver. I'm not a huge fan of silver cars. I find it kind of like takes away from any type of silhouettes or design the car may have. It just kind of mutes it and dulls it out. All that to say, it's not terrible. It is handsome. It is very grand. It is very imposing on the road. I think over the years, I hope that they spice it up a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. The interior, though, can stay exactly as it is. It is absolutely stunning. I love this. The steering wheel, too. I never mentioned that. I will now. It's got it doesn't have a 3-spoke like you normally would, like the center spoke in the middle. It's all open, so comfortable to hold on to. And again, with this really nice gray blue, and it's got wood paneling inside the steering wheel as well. Grand Wagoneer written in the middle, just in case you forget. And just everything about this vehicle is beautiful. If I had $125,000 kicking around and I really needed a big car, I would spring for this over the Escalade. I definitely would. If you haven't seen it and you're in the market for a 3-row luxury SUV, you should definitely stop by Jeep and check it out. Might not be your cup of tea, but at least you will have seen it, and I guarantee at least one little portion of this is going to impress you, and you're going to be happy that they brought the Wagoneer name back. Well, that's been it for me, guys, in the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. As you can see, this thing is absolutely huge in design, in personality, in a drive, just everything about it. You know, if this thing didn't cost as much as it did, I would love to have one of these. Also, if it didn't drink as much fuel as it did, then it would be fantastic. I find this incredibly comfortable, incredibly easy to drive, and I absolutely love the interior look of this. The exterior, not so much, but the interior I definitely like. I hope you guys enjoyed the time in the Grand Wagoneer as much as I did. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up at Miss Miranda L on Twitter or Instagram, Miranda Lightstone on Facebook.com, or drop a comment below, and I hope to see you guys back for the next review.